back. We're here with Dina from El Tipico Restaurant. Dina, thank you for coming on the podcast today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
Yes, I'm very excited to dive into not only your restaurant, but your story, your healthy food you serve. So we can start off. Can you just dive into the story of how El Tipico got started?
Oh, okay. We're going way back to
Yes,
1968.
yes.
All right. So my father was transferred here from San Antonio, Texas. He was in the Air Force. So he was transferred downtown Toledo to the federal building, which no longer stands there. And he came as a recruiter, an Air Force recruiter, 1960. Well, 68. And my mother thought, well, we have our house in Texas. It's just a temporary stint, maybe 4 years. And we lived nearby here, and she saw that next to where you and I are sitting, because this is 2 units, was a little hot dog place. And she thought it was for rent. And this side where you and I are currently sitting used to be a dry cleaners. So anyway, she opened up a little taco stand, is how she said it. I just
Wow.
want to open up a little taqueria and share our culture with the neighborhood, and then your dad will be done and we can go home. Well, at the time, I was only 2 and my brother was 12. So she would literally carry me and her pots and pans and walk over here and, open up a little taco stand. And that was 1968. So that was originally my mother's idea, and these are all my mom's recipes.
Wow.
Well, then my daddy, he would get off work from the Air Force. He changed into one uniform into another uniform, which was the waiter uniform, because back in those days, you always wore uniforms for stuff, waitresses and everything. And he'd come and work here in the evenings. So that's how it originally started.
That's amazing. And if you can give us like some insight to like, as your mom like obviously grew the business from a taco
Yeah.
stand to this, like what was that kind of transition like going from a small restaurant or
Hmm.
like a taco stand to
Yeah.
then kind of growing it into what like it was for her?
Well, what happened is that back in the old days, it was the newspapers. Everybody got their news from the newspapers. And there was a food editor, and her name was Mary Alice Powell. And when she spoke, people listened. So one day my dad came home, well, I call this home, by the way. He came to the restaurant, and my mother said, there's some lady out there asking me a bunch of questions. She wants to know how I make my food and what ingredients I use. I don't know who she is. And my dad's like, well, let me go find out. Well, he walks out, goes back in the kitchen. He says, whatever she asks you, you just tell her, because it was Mary Alice
Yeah,
Powell. And then that weekend, although it was a little place, but still there was a big line of people outside waiting to get in. And so that's what first made El Tipico known on the map, let's just say, or known to the community. And at that time, there was only 2 other Mexican restaurants. So we were the third in the city of Toledo. There was Taco Village in Acapulco. And sad to say they're no longer here. That's what makes us now the oldest in the city of Toledo. But yeah, it went from people getting to know like what Mexican food was, because it wasn't as popular as it is today.
really.
No, there weren't that many. Like now there's over 100 of them. But back then, like I said, we were the third. So people really didn't know what a taco was. That's back, especially when they'd walk in and go, well, what's a taco?
Yeah,
It's not a taco, it's a taco. So that was really fun for them. And then the business continued to grow to the point that then they took over this side. And originally it was part gift shop, part more dining area. And then eventually the whole thing became dining. And they did all the fairs and festivals, because my mother loved concession trailers. Now
wow.
they call them food trucks. Back then it was a concession trailer. And so they did probably over 20 different fairs and festivals
Wow.
throughout the summer, fall months. And so then that grew, right? And then and somebody had the great idea, I say that playfully, that, oh, if you only had a restaurant that had served alcohol. So my parents opened another restaurant
Wow.
on Hill and Reynolds, and that was called La Familia Villa. And that was their first introduction to a full bar and food and the whole bit. Um, but then, and after that, they opened another. That was like in the 80s, And then in 90s, mid 90s, they opened another restaurant that truthfully was supposed to be for somebody else. It was a customer that wanted to open a restaurant. And they ended up opening it together with him. And then eventually he left and it was just us. And that was a huge endeavor. Like I ran that one.
Wow.
And so I've had my taste of serving alcohol and not serving alcohol. And, that's probably what one of your questions will
Yes, it
eventually
is.
be, right? So we'll just lead into that.
Yes.
Um, One day I saw my mom at the end of the bar and the place was packed and everybody was happy and they're all drinking their margaritas. And those were my mom's and my brother's recipes, so I used to make big 40-gallon, probably bigger than that, containers of margaritas every week. But she looked really sad. I'm like, Mom, what's wrong? And when I say sad, she looked really heartbroken.
Wow.
And that's the only reason why I asked her what was wrong. And she said, look at them. Look at them. And I'm like, well, I'm seeing a bunch of happy people. But she says, they don't even know what they're eating. I spend so much time in the kitchen and put so much love into what I do and make sure their food tastes good. And they can't even taste it because once you have a few drinks, your tongue becomes desensitized.
Yeah.
And obviously it becomes like an emotional thing for me because I miss my mom and she's the one that started this restaurant together with my dad. But we honor her memory here at the at the Tipico by keeping her recipes, making sure the food is made with the absolute best quality ingredients. And yes, there's no alcohol here because there's just really no need for it. People have been coming here all 57
Yep.
years for the flavor of the food. You can go get a drink anywhere, come fill your belly here
Yeah.
and then go have a drink somewhere else. Have a good
Yes.
time.
Yes. No, absolutely. And I love that you guys have that focus of like it's about not only the taste of the food, but obviously the quality. Like you guys don't have seed
Yes.
oils. You guys don't have. You
Mm-mm.
have organic meat. You have
Right.
organic cheese. You have vegan options. Why is serving healthy food important to you guys?
So it goes back partially two reasons. One is my mom again. She was a farm girl. So for her, everything always had to be fresh, no chemicals. If we ate out somewhere and there was MSG in the food, she'd start scratching. She like, there's MSG in the food. Like she could not handle any chemicals in the food. And that was a big thing back then. They wanted you to use MSG to,
Okay.
add extra flavor to the food. It would make the vegetables last longer, but she would never do it. So that was in part why, we just never have to serve anything with chemicals here. Um, the food was always made fresh. As I said, she was a farm girl. So everything came in raw. That's the only way I knew how to make food. Nothing was packaged, processed, nothing like that. But sad to say, in 2012, I was going through cancer. And for many reasons, I ended up losing my medical insurance, which ended up being a blessing for me personally. It's different for everybody, but for me, it was a blessing because that forced me to go back to my friend who owns Health Food by Claudia's, and Claudia explained to me our food system and explained what was going on and why there were so many chemicals. I mean, there's environmental, there's other things that we can't control, but we can control what we eat.
Yes.
We can control what supplements we take. So she put me on a regimen of supplements and, eating correctly. And, that was 2012. And this is what we're 2025, 25, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, so here we are still, So thank you, God. And thank you, Claudia, for helping me with that. But in doing that, I think that God also opened my eyes up to the fact of doing more research. And I did. You should, if somebody even has the best of intentions and tells you, hey, these are the facts. Well, I always recommend that you take that information and go research it
Yeah.
yourself and then make a wise decision. And that's what I had to do. But I was afraid to go organic, I'll be honest. Um, because I thought, well, we're just a sleepy little restaurant in the South End. We're just, if I go organic, there's just no way people are going to want to pay that price to have better ingredients. And I was really concerned, but no, God gave me the courage to do it,
Yeah.
and that's what we did. And so we transitioned, and it was so funny because before we transitioned, I called the guy that we used to buy our meat from, and I asked him about, GMOs, and are the animals being injected with anything? He's like, oh, no, no, it's all natural. All natural means that it was alive at one time. It does not mean that it doesn't have chemicals.
Wow.
So don't be fooled by the word natural. That doesn't mean anything. Um, so when I started purchasing organic chicken, the gentleman that worked in the kitchen, we used to take out chicken breasts from a box, right? And we'd have to pick it up with both hands and put it on the slab to slice it. Well, this time he takes it out and he just takes it out like this. He goes like, "What's this?" And I said, "That's a real chicken breast
Wow.
because it doesn't have hormones in it. It's not forced to grow beyond its capabilities in a short amount of time." So that was our first introduction as we switched over into the meat. So we currently purchase our most of our meats from Canal Junction Farm, and they're located in Defiance, and they're all pasture raised. Um, our vegetables we purchase from Clay Hill Organics. They're at the farmers market. We also purchase from Phoenix Co-op
Yep.
or Claudia's Health Food Store, and they'll order in organics for us. So that's really important
Yeah.
to us. Yeah.
Well, you guys, with me being extremely health conscious, trying to find a restaurant with no seed oils
Ah,
was probably one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. Can you kind of dive into why you don't
yes.
use seed oils?
Well, again, that kind of goes back to my mom, because I'm going to hit the lard part first
Okay.
because we've always been vegan and vegetarian. The whole menu is always vegan and vegetarian. We just didn't realize that we had to tell everybody, right? But now people are becoming more health conscious about things, and so some people, maybe they want to be grass fed and organic. Other people want to be completely vegetarian or completely vegan, and we have it because my mom never cooked with lard. She might have at home, but never here. And she did that intentionally because she knew there were people that didn't want that. So we've always cooked with, well, she would use olive oil back then. Um, so now what we do is whenever we do cook, and we use minimal oil here, but if we do cook something with oil, it'll be made with olive oil. And when we fry, it's fried in coconut oil. Yeah,
I
and
love it.
yeah, and as to why, it's sad to say, there was a time that I thought, oh, if we use sunflower oil, we're going to be safe. No, we're not even safe with
Yeah.
sunflower oil. So again, to us, this is a process as well. The more I learn, the more I will adjust the menu. Yeah, or adjust our ingredients.
And it's nice to know that the restaurant owner is consistently looking out for their customers in a
Mm,
health fashion, not just like profit or taste, which is, I think, like the usual look. But you're like, hey, if I learn something new, like your sunflower
yeah,
oil, you're like,
yeah.
I'm going to change it, and I'm going to let everyone know that, like, hey, we're going to pivot in a healthier direction, which is rare.
Here's the thing. My parents always had integrity, and they taught me that. And so I feel that if I can't serve food with integrity, then we need to close. If there comes a time I just can't afford to do it anymore, then I'm going to have to close. But thank you, God, and thank you to all of our customers, our patrons that have been coming here all 57 years, and those that still walk in the door for the first time. They're very aware of what we're doing here, and they're very receptive, and a lot of them are just so happy that we're doing that because what it happened is that it opened the door to a new customer base. Again, sad to say, because of our food system, a lot of people have become celiac, but they have Crohn's disease, IBS, they have diabetes, they have kidney problems. I mean, cancer, whatever it is, someone seems to always have something. And so they come here looking for food that's clean, food that makes them feel good when they leave, that they don't feel, like, oh, afterwards. They know what they're eating is nourishing to their food. Is one plate of enchiladas here going to cure you? No, but it's not going to add to the
Yeah.
problem.
Well, and it gives an option, right? Like, hey, like
Absolutely.
I want to go eat not as healthy. I'll be making it at home, but I want to know that I'm not going to break out, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to,
Mm-hmm.
lead into something else that could cause me disease down the road.
Yes.
And With you being here for 57 years, what are some small things that you guys have done or are still doing to keep those customers coming back?
Well, I think that based on what we're talking about, in 2012 when we transitioned, I also let go of making flour tortillas in the kitchen. Like we don't use any wheat, rye, or barley in the kitchen. And that would be important to who? Someone who has celiac or IBS or Crohn's or so forth. So I realized that, well, we're not going to do the flour tortillas here anymore. We'll bring them from outside in. There's no loose flour back there at all. And there's only two sauces that we thicken. So we used to in the old days use flour to thicken it, but not anymore. No, no, no. So right now we're using a little bit of xanthan gum, but even now I'm still searching and researching and trying to find, well, what other thing could I use
Yeah.
besides xanthan? But at the moment it is xanthan that we're using to thicken those. So what that did is it opened up a whole avenue, a whole new market where people now can come and eat here, and they don't get like one little menu and say, well, you can have these three items.
Yes.
No, it is the entire menu. If you want it, sometimes it's overwhelming.
Yes.
It's kind of cute because they're so used to like people are like, just I can only have these three things. No, you can have the whole menu, and they're like, what? So I've had two grown men cry.
Wow.
They were here with their families in different occasions, and the one gentleman told me, he says, you don't understand. When I come here, I can just be dad. I can bring my children and I don't have to ask 100 questions.
Yes.
I don't have to have my children roll their eyes because here goes dad again, asking the waitress all these
Yes.
questions. I don't have to be scared to take that first bite. I can just be dad. And wow, that was a huge compliment, but it's also a huge responsibility. And we take it very seriously here.
Absolutely. I have two more questions for you.
Yeah.
What is one thing, just on a personal standpoint, what is one aspect of your life that was heavily impacted or influenced by your mother?
Oh my goodness. That she was right about everything. When you're growing up, at least for me, I was like always rolling my eyes at my mom. But she was a health nut and she always did everything natural. And she had four gardens going for this restaurant, which I never understood
Wow.
why. Why are you doing all that? Right. And, it was always like, she'd always tell me, well, you should find what we call weeds outside. And she goes, oh, this is good for your heart and this is good for your
Love it.
memory. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But now I realize, wow, she was very wise. And I find that, and to be honest, I don't know if it would have had the same impact if I hadn't come back to the restaurant in 2010 to help out my daddy for one weekend. And I joke around that it's been a long weekend. Here I am still. The influences of this restaurant and seeking out how to make our menu more available in a healthier way has brought all these memories of my mom flooding back and things that she would taught me. So,
That's beautiful.
yeah, thank you.
Of course, I love it. I love diving into this type of stuff. I have one more question for you.
You can have two if you like.
All right, two more questions. For a restaurant that is looking to go healthier,
Yeah.
especially as we move into, I think, society almost demanding a
Mm-hmm.
healthier menu,
Mm-hmm.
what are some tips or advice for them for those restaurants that are looking to transfer from using seed oils,
Yeah.
toxic food, to making that transfer to actually having actual healthy things on their menu?
That would make me so happy. A lot of times people think, oh, it'd be competition and you don't want that. I'm like, yes, I do want that. I want to know where I can go eat when I'm
Yes.
not here,
Yeah.
right? And to me, if it was across the board, that's better health for our entire nation. That's how it should be. So, but anyway, getting back to your question is the first thing I would recommend, there is a documentary called Food Inc. It's a little old now. It's about 10 years old, but it's still very relevant to what's going on today. If anything, things have gotten worse. And so I would always say education first. Don't do it just to become, I don't know, for marketing reasons. Don't do it just because, I don't know, because people are asking you to do it.
Yeah.
You have to be educated as to why are you doing it. So that's the first thing I would always, everyone that works here in this restaurant must watch that
Really? That's
documentary.
interesting.
Everyone. And then doing that, it gives them an insight of, wow, this is what's going on with our food system. This is why we're doing what we do here at the restaurant. And it also helps them with their own choices, with their families,
Yeah.
what I'm really hoping for them, right? So, education first. Why are we doing it? And then after that, I'm an open book. I don't have secrets because to me, if I can help another business owner, then God will bless me for that, right?
Yes.
And then, like I said, it gives me an opportunity to go eat somewhere else as well. Yeah. So, so that's what I would say: education, and of course, they could always look online, look for natural things, not natural, but organics and
Yes.
grass fed and pasture raised. But again, I'm an open book, and I'd be happy to help anyone.
I love it. One more question.
Hmm.
You also mentioned that you had cancer and
Hmm.
you struggle with it. Were you able to cure it?
Well, here I am with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you kind of dive into that story a little bit more?
Yeah. As in, it was breast cancer.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like your kind of story, and then like how you kind of went to like actually cure it. Because I think a lot of people think, oh, I have cancer, I'm stuck with it, but
Oh,
you obviously,
yeah.
made it happen.
So whenever I talk to someone that's going through that, first and foremost, my heart goes out to you because it's scary when they call it the C word, right? So when
Yeah.
when a doctor usually tells you this, you don't know, like, am I going to live a few weeks or a month, a year? What's going on, right? Well, it's different for everyone, and I respect everyone's choices. Some people prefer to do it completely through the medical field, and that's wonderful. But for those that maybe want to do it through the medical field, like with me, I will be honest, with me, it was partial medical field because I still had my insurance. And so I just did what everybody did. And then I lost it. And that's why I say for me personally, that was a blessing. And so I went to Claudia and she explained to me what supplements I could use because for me, I had too much estrogen in my body, right? So she gave me supplements to help with that, among other things that will kill free radicals too. So there's different supplements you want to take for that. I took matcha. At the
Okay.
time, I was drinking matcha prior to being diagnosed. I had just started. And my friend Sandy Spank, she used to own Plate 21 as a coffee shop, and she introduced me to it. And she explained, oh, it kills free radicals and antioxidants and blah blah blah. And but so when I was researching what would help me, what herbs I could take, things for that to help with cancer, that was on the list. And I'm like, wow. So I kind of OD'd on matcha. So that's my own little personal thing. But no, it was going back to definitely eating food with no organics, no sugar. I mean, sugar is the biggest poison there is out there. And it's not just because of cancer. I mean, it causes inflammation of
Yeah.
all kinds, which leads to many different diseases. So no more sugar. When I want something sweet, it's going to be made with monk fruit or stevia or, date sugar
Yeah.
now, once in a while, honey once in a while. But those are the biggest things, I believe.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that. I
Absolutely.
think that'll help some people. I'm even just realizing that the fact that you cured it and you're still here today will bring hope to
Oh,
people that, oh, I'm not going to die. It is possible
it is. It
to
is.
survive this.
Yeah, I would say, my faith, number one, constant prayer, constantly talking to God, eating what He meant us to eat to begin with, which was real food. And like I said, no process anything. The sugar is not what God meant us to eat. That white substance, it's a chemical, and people don't know that. They don't understand how it's bleached, and all the nutrients are taken out of it, so it literally becomes a new chemical that we're taking into our body. But people don't know that. What's so funny is I think that seed was planted into my mind when I was a senior in high school,
Wow.
and I didn't even know. I did a paper on the effects of sugar on the criminal brain. So there was a study done that they interviewed all these people in prison, and they found out that sugar affects your brain. It's like 10 times stronger than cocaine as far as
Yeah.
the addiction. And so that was in the back of my head. But you grow up, you kind of ignore all that kind of stuff. But now it comes back, and it was good information for me to have as a baseline.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Those are the questions I have for you.
Okay.
How can people find you, and what is one thing you want to leave people with?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so how they find us, that's the easy thing. First off, if you go to the website, you'll see the entire menu there. And so that's under eltipicotoledo.com. eltipicotoledo.com. We should do a jingo, I think. Yeah, it's like ELTIPICO Toledo.com. And then we're located at 1444 South Avenue. Zip code is 43609. And so we're in the old South End, but if you're coming from Maumee and you're on the trail, you definitely want to turn left at South Avenue. And there's a Marco's Pizza there. That's your landmark. You turn left. And if you're coming from the downtown, you turn right. What do I want to leave people with? Well, I think that take care of yourself. You know, you're important. You're important to your family. You're important to whatever God's mission is that you will have on this world. And start taking a step, even if it's just a small one. Start taking a step into better health. Because with better health, you know, some people will tell me, oh, if I buy organics, it's too expensive. Well, you have a choice. You can either start spending a little more on organic food or at least organic practice food, right? Which means no chemicals. You spend a little more on that and you get to eat it, enjoy the flavor, right?
Yes.
Or you can spend money on pills and medical treatments, and that doesn't taste good
No.
and that doesn't feel good. So I think the best thing to do is build up your immune system so you have a fighting chance if something should come to haunt you, some type of medical issue from our environment or whatever, and you can fight it because your immune system's strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it. We probably could have talked for hours.
Yeah, I think so.
So thank you.
Part two.